What is neoevolution? Neoevolution is the idea that we, as human beings, could guide or choose how we would next evolve, not necessarily for our species as a whole, but for each of us individually, depending upon personal preference. It could involve the use of biomechanical technology to enhance human ability, or the manipulation of an individual's DNA to eliminate risk and precursors for disease in certain conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure. It might also include ways to manipulate germ cells so that those same genetic enhancements could be passed on to offspring. Not only does neoevolution involve the manipulation of genes to eliminate disease, but it might also allow us to give ourselves superhuman abilities. We could choose to be smarter, faster, stronger, more attractive, more creative, or simply choose to live longer. It's the stuff Marvel action heroes like the Avengers are made of. Harvey Feinberg, in his TED Talk, Are We Ready for Neoevolution?, calls this idea enticing, intriguing, and frightening. To some, this sounds like a lot of science fiction, something only future generations will need to be concerned with, but we are already seeing neoevolution in its earliest stages. We've already begun to see natural selection tweaked through the ability to choose the gender of our offspring. A recent CNN article revealed that music celebrity John Legend and his wife Chrissy Teigen chose the sex of their soon-to-be-born baby, and that nearly 74% of all IVF service providers in the United States offer sex screening as part of their regular service menu. In her TED Talk, Could Tissue Engineering Mean Personalized Medicine?, tissue engineer researcher Nina Tandon discusses our ability in the very near future to speed development of drugs for the treatment of disease by tailoring specific medicines and courses of treatment based on an individual's unique DNA. This could prevent potentially deadly side effects and ensure the greatest possibility of treatment success. Another example of neoevolution in action is gene therapy. Though gene therapy is still young in its development, it has already seen a lot of success. In his article Icarus 2.0, Michael Best discusses the case of Ashanti De Silva, a girl born with bubble boy disease or ADA disease, a condition caused by the lack of the gene required to produce ADA, a protein necessary for a healthy functioning immune system. Doctors were able to use a virus to replicate the ADA gene in blood cells being produced in Ashanti's blood marrow, and within months her immune system was strong enough to allow her to return to a fairly normal life, even attend school. This was the first case of successful gene therapy, but a quick search of the American Medical Association's website reveals there are hundreds of clinical trials involving gene therapy ongoing at this very moment. There are nearly 4,000 diseases that can be linked to gene disorders, and genetic therapy could be used to treat diseases like cancer, cystic fibrosis, hemophilia, and Alzheimer's. But are all these leaps in technology a blessing or a curse? What makes the idea of neoevolution so appealing is that the benefits could dramatically improve our quality of life. The ability to eradicate and prevent diseases like breast cancer, dementia, hypertension, diabetes, that would likely be the greatest achievement of modern medicine. Who among us wouldn't want to eliminate our risk for these diseases, and with that enable ourselves to live longer, healthier lives? Intrinsically as humans, at our basest levels, we're still fighting the primordial battle for survival and will instinctively want this kind of evolution. But neoevolution is a double-edged sword. Genetic manipulation and the other components of this type of evolution could have potential side effects. In his TED Talk, It's Time to Question Bioengineering, Paul Rootwolp identifies advances in technology that allow animals to glow in the dark, and makes reference to how such genetic manipulation might fill the same role that things like body piercings and tattoos fill for us today. We then might wonder, would such a thing become a characteristic used as a basis for judgment and prejudice? Would the individual ability to choose our genetic makeup and the subsequent abilities tied to our genes potentially lead us to the type of society brought to life in movies like Gattaca, where you have a portion of the population genetically modified to be superior, and the non-modified are seen as subpar and unworthy? Would such societal conflict replace modern-day struggles like gender, sexual orientation, and race? And what will it actually mean for our ability to sustain life on this planet, and what will the quality of that life look like? In his article, The Prolongation of Life, Francis Fukuyama discusses the implication of major prolongment of life on our economy and society. His article discusses the aging of America and how the average age of an American in 1899 was 19, but in 2050 that average age will be closer to 40. What will an average life expectancy jump of 20 years due to things like career planning, population growth, and the housing and food supply? And just because we are living longer, will that mean we have a greater quality of life? If those additional 20 years are spent in a state requiring care or see a decrease in mental faculty, has that longevity created a value to human existence or a burden? In the discussion about neo-evolution, I don't think it's a question of whether mankind will have a role in its own evolution. We've already begun that process. The real question we are now faced with is, should we continue with the technological advancements that will continue to change who we are as a species? In my personal opinion, I think this type of research and technological development should continue, but we have to think about how and why we do it. It can't simply be for the sake of science. It's no longer as simple as, can we figure out how to build a settlement on Mars, or make a computer smaller, or invent some other machine that makes our lives easier. If we are to accept neo-evolution as the next stage of human development, we must be very careful and develop a holistic approach that considers not only the benefits, like the elimination of disease, but whether such advancements truly enhance the life we have. And we must also consider whether we as a society and as a planet will be capable of sustaining the needs and desires of a newly evolved human being.